Hello, everyone. My name is Marieme. I'm doing this today because it's an important day. Today is World AIDS Day. And we remember those we have lost through the epidemic and recommit ourselves to accelerating progress in the fight against HIV/AIDS. I remember when I was growing up as a young girl, I used to watch leaders all across the world really investing and talking about how HIV/AIDS have been really taking the life of many, many people. And today, I'm extremely honored to do this with somebody I was watching, really holding leaders accountable, interviewing them, making sure people are aware that we are losing young girls and boys across the world because of this epidemic. My friend and my brother, somebody I really love and respect, James Chow. James, I'm so happy that you are here with us. Thank you so much for taking the time this morning. Today is the 1st of December, and we're all going to celebrate and talk about World AIDS Day. Not only we're going to talk about the progress we've made, but also the progress we need to make as soon as possible. Thank you so much for coming on the I Am the Code IGTV.
Thank you very much, Marieme. It's such an honor for me to be with you here on any day, but especially on this day.
You know, one of the things I've been reading yesterday, I spent the whole night reading not only the work you've been doing in interviewing, as I said, celebrities who I think, one of the person that came to my mind is Annie Lennox. But also I read that, over 38 million people, are living with HIV, as of 2019. Do you think we are supporting people enough and we raising awareness more around this?
When we have one person living with HIV, that's one person too many. So there's never too much that we can do. But at the same time, while we honor the tens of millions of people who have not survived to this day to celebrate a World AIDS Day, to honor a World AIDS Day, I think we should also take this time to think about all the people who have helped so many more arrive at this point. The healthcare workers, the community leaders, the political leaders, and ordinary people like yourself, who are doing so much to make this a safer world to live in, a more beautiful place to live in. So this is really a day as much to honor as it is to celebrate, as it is to reflect. And, when I think about what happens now in this COVID-19 landscape, I'm particularly worried because we already lived in a world of inequalities, and now post-COVID, or while we're in COVID, those inequalities have become even more exacerbated. They are deeper, they are wider, they are taller, they are bolder, and that makes me very afraid. When we think about gender gaps, when we think about race gaps, when we think about health gaps, and that's very important when we go back to HIV and AIDS. People living with HIV are people like all of us. However, in a time of COVID-19, they have had issues with accessing treatment, accessing testing, accessing medicines, accessing other in-person services especially. And I've seen it here in Hong Kong, where I live. It's a relatively privileged city. Hong Kong is often called one of the world's richest cities. I dispute that. I think that when you have about 20% of the population living below the poverty line, how can we say that we're a rich city? What pride can we honestly have in that label? So when you look around Hong Kong, when you look at organizations like AIDS Concern, in a way they're crying out and saying that during times of social distancing, because we haven't had lockdowns in the full sense here because the infections are lower than in many parts of the world. But sure, we have social distancing. And as of Wednesday, 2nd of December, all government offices will be closed. Everyone will be working at home. So if you're a person living with HIV, what do you do then? How do you access psychosocial support services, counseling services, testing services? So we have to be a little bit clever at this point to ensure that the gaps that have emerged and are growing wider are not unbridgeable. One way they're doing that is using a simple technology. Do you remember vending machines when we were kids? You put in a coin, you get a can of Coke maybe, or a chocolate bar. Now you can put a coin in or swipe a card and get a testing kit, bring it back home, test yourself, and then use that knowledge to know your status and then to do something about it further. I've always thought that, if you can buy something as unhealthy as a can of Coke or a bar of chocolate from a vending machine, we should be able to use those same innovations to buy something healthy for us so that we protect ourselves and the people around us to our utmost.
That was really amazing. Thank you so much, James. I like the fact that you actually connected innovation in HIV/AIDS. And right now, I think with COVID-19, we definitely should learn something from that. With the rise of technology and innovation, as you said, you can now go in some place across the world to pick up, a test kit from a vending machine. But in many countries across the world, they don't have that. My hope is that my young girls growing up right now, who are so desperate, young women, aged between 15 and 24, in particular, are really getting infected right now. So what can we do to make sure these young girls learn the science, understand how to protect themselves, and, hopefully one day actually invent those innovations for the HIV to go down?
When I think about your work, Marieme, and iamtheCODE, I think particularly of the girls and young women across the richly diverse African continent. I know that your work is invested there, that you've done so much over there, and that they look to you for an example, for a model of how their life can be one day. So using that context and that setting, and where the global south still feels the burden of diseases like COVID-19, like HIV and AIDS, the deepest, I think we should focus our attention there again this World AIDS Day. At least for now, these young girls and women must know that life is all about choices. And I was taught that very early on. Choices about what you eat, choices about what you study, choices about how well you take care of yourself or not. And I think choices goes to everything. What books you read, what movies you learn from, what music you relax to. All of these are part of the tree of life. And when you make a decision which is not so great, that takes you onto a different branch of that same tree of life. And sometimes it can be very difficult to get back on course, to get back on track. I say that because I think of an interview I did many years ago with two Chinese AIDS activists. And one of them said to me, everybody talks about HIV and AIDS and people live with HIV as if there's something wrong with them, when of course there's nothing wrong with them. They're people like us. They don't ask for anything more and they don't ask for anything less. What they demand is a beautiful equality. But quite often people living with HIV, and this is where all the stigma and discrimination can come from, is their biggest mistake, in inverted commas, or crime in inverted commas, was falling in love because they felt something for somebody, whether it be a boy and a girl or a boy and a boy or a girl and a girl, whichever way you want to look at it. Relationships and families come in all beautiful forms, but sometimes when a young person meets another person, they want to express and demonstrate their love and intimacy with each other and for one another. They sometimes are not equipped with the right knowledge to make those big decisions in life. So what I ask all girls and boys and young adults and people everywhere, in every situation, is to think about the choice for you and what's the best choice for the people around you as well, your community. Using a condom is still hugely effective and still one of the most basic ways to protect yourself from becoming infected. So while we talk about education and awareness and knowledge, it's these very simple technologies and these very simple innovations that sometimes have great impact, can save lives. Being safe and expressing your love doesn't need to be one without the other. I think being safe is cool. I think being safe is meaningful. I think being safe is the right thing to do for yourself and for your partner as well. And I think all of it expresses an enormous love. So remember that protection is still really, really important and is life-saving and life-improving.
Well, James, thank you so much. I hope that the girls listening to you and the whole world actually, raising awareness around this day today. I hope that, we will make a difference in the life of boys and girls. But also, as you said, really open up more and learn lessons. Make sure we make the right decisions and the right choices. But one of the things I've learned as a young girl, especially being in relationships, protecting myself, is really you are the agent of your life. Make sure that you careful and make sure you protect yourself no matter what happened. You need to make sure you stay safe and protect yourself. So thank you so much, James Chow, for coming to the I Am the Code IGTV, and thank you for everything you've been doing across the world as a Goodwill ambassador of the WHO, but at the same time, as somebody who's campaigning to make sure we reduce inequality across the world. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much, Marieme, and thank you to everybody who's watching and listening. Wherever you are, remember that you never need to be pressured into anything that you don't want to do, and saying no is very much your right.